ALTA Surveys Table A, Item 6. What does it say? What does it mean? What do I have to do as the boundary surveyor if you check that item number on the Table A when you're requesting a survey? Let's find out. So Table A, Item 6 has two parts, an A and a B. I'm going to read them both to you right out of the spec here. So Table A, Item 6, says, if the current zoning classification, setback requirements, the height and floor space area restrictions, and parking requirements specific to the surveyed property are set forth in a zoning report or letter provided to the surveyor by the client or the client's designated representative, list the above items on the platter map and identify the date and source of the report or letter. That is Part A. Part B says, if the zoning setback requirements specific to the surveyed property are set forth in a zoning report or letter provided to the surveyor by the client or the client's designated representative, and if those requirements do not require an interpretation by the surveyor, graphically depict those requirements on the platter map and identify the date and source of the report or letter. All right, that is a lot. That's a mouthful. What does it mean? We're going to talk about it. We're going to start with Part A, then we'll do Part B. So Part A says, if you give me a zoning report, I have to list the land use zone, the building setbacks, the building height restrictions, the building floor area restrictions, and the parking requirements on the face of my survey, my ALTA survey. How do I do this? I typically do this with a note, a written note, and I will add a building setback table, right? Usually list front yard, side yard, rear yard setbacks. And I will also add a parking requirements table. Okay, sometimes it's done with a note, but it's usually a note in combination with those two tables. We will put a link in the description of this video to our video on Table A, Item 9, which covers parking. So if you want, if you check this item and not Item 9, you will only get the parking requirements. You will not be able to tell if you meet the parking requirements. If you want that, you need to also check Table A, Item 9. I will have Lori, our content marketing specialist, find that video and put a link to it in the description. So why are they asking for this stuff, this particular set of land use stuff on the face of the survey? It's because these are the things that most frequently make up a parcel out of compliance with the current land use regulations. Violations of building setbacks, building heights, building floor area requirements, or parking. Those are the big four. So they want to know, is it in compliance or not? And they want me to put it on the front of the survey. In order for me to do this, you got to give me a zoning report. So you can't make your surveyor go crawl through the zoning code per the spec. Now, if you work with a company like mine, we will put together a zoning report for you, but we will charge you a fee to do that. So if you don't want to pay me to put together the zoning report, then you have to give me a zoning report. Why do I need to put this information on the face of the survey if there's already a zoning report? I don't have a good answer to that question. I'm not really sure, but you can check Table A, Item 6A, and make me do it, and I will. If you check that item, I will read the zoning report and I will put that information on the face of the survey. I don't know that that gets you any extra protection or creates any additional liability for me. I'm going to rely on the information in the zoning report that you already have, but it's in the Table A. If you want it on the face of the survey, I will put it on there if you give me a zoning report. All right, let's get to Part B. So Part B says that if you give me a zoning report, I have to graphically depict the building setbacks. That means I got to draw the building setback lines on the face of the survey. But there's a big if there. There's an if. I only have to do that if no interpretation of the building setbacks is required. So the code has to be clear, right? So here's an example. If the zoning regulations say that there's a 5-foot rear yard setback, that's pretty cut and dry. I can plot that on the survey. Okay, but building setbacks can get really complicated. I will have Lori put a link in the description of the video to our separate video that talks all about building setbacks and why they can create problems. So why would somebody like a bank ask for the building setbacks to be plotted on the survey? Why is this a Table A item? It's because the setback location is controlled typically by the location of the boundary. If you move the parcel boundary, you move the location of the setback. So they want the surveyor to draw the setback because we know where the boundary goes. And they want the building setback shown on the face of the survey because it allows you to do a visual inspection for any kind of features, significant features that encroach into the building setback. So that's why they want it shown on the survey. I will add land surveyors. If you're watching this video You should note major building encroachments into the building setback. So if we do a survey and we have a building that encroaches, which is not uncommon, encroaches into the setback, we will call that out in a separate note. So we don't just plot the building setbacks, we also call out when we believe there is a major encroachment into the building setback. I think that's good practice. So there you go. That is Table A, Item 6, Part A and Part B. I will be honest with you, it's one of the pain in the butt Table A items. So it probably the only one that causes me more heartache than this is utilities. So Table A, Item 11. So 6 and 11 are kind of my redheaded stepchildren in the Table A. But we can do it. And we can put the zoning report together. We can review the zoning report you provide us. We can plot that information on the face of the survey. We can show you the building setbacks. We can call out encroachments into the building setbacks. It's not a problem. If you ask us to do it, we are going to charge you for it, but we can do it. I will let you know that this is one of the most commonly checked Table A items. So we almost never do a land title survey or an ALTA survey without Table A, Item 6 being checked. So it's pretty typical for us to do it, and we have lots of practice at it. There you go. Now you know all about Table A, Item 6A and B, 2 parts, and we will do some more videos covering Table A items.